Hold on. Please bear with me. I'm just trying to get set up at this point. Alright, let's check everything here. Where the hell am I? Settling in here. Right. Fading, 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 fading. Okay. This is nasty. Okay. Okay. What the hell is going on here? Oh God, help me. Oh boy. Alright, there's all sorts of things are looking very glitchy over here, but it's not my fault. It's something to do with the platform or the internet. I'm not quite sure which. Hello, Necessary Truths. Good evening. And thank you for being here. I better put this up right now before I forget. We have one booking from Fluffles. And we have another from Water Dragon. So I reckon I could probably handle 2 more if anyone's interested. It's still early. I started a little bit early to give myself a chance to make an astro doodle, and maybe notifications will go out. I don't know. I don't think they really go out anymore on this channel. But anyway, let's get this over here. and keep this handy just in case. Well, there's a lot of positivity about the astrodoodle, yes, for sure. It's very powerful. This is very big, long-term historical astrology on a monumental scale. Something like this doesn't happen for hundreds or if not thousands of years. Anyway, it's here now. Bam, bam, bam. Might as well add it here as well. Evolution, jeepers, man, this is big time. These orange blobs indicate points of critical mass, points of crisis, points of extreme pressure in the astrology. And so that's affecting the whole of planet Earth. That's affecting everything on Earth. It's affecting the climate. It's affecting the oceans, the mountains, the rivers, the lakes, the trees, the algae, bacteria, viruses, coral reefs, all the animals, all the plants simultaneously. It's kind of extreme. And it's up to us how we deal with it. We have freedom of choice. We can either just keep going blind and just let things go and just do what most organisms do. They just roll with it because they don't really have a choice. I like to think that nature is much smarter than we imagine, and that things like, even though a tree really can't move from where it's sitting, it does adapt to its environment on an everyday basis. The heat, the cold, the flooding, the drought, all of it, all nutrients, whatever it might be, it has to adapt every day. And adaptation and evolution is what creates the spectacular array of organic life that we have on this crazy planet. Right down to the most primitive animals like jellyfish and amoebas and viruses and bacteria, all the way up to us, Homo sapiens, who is convinced that we are the smartest, most advanced organism on Earth. Well, that's just an opinion. I'm not saying it's my opinion, but it's somebody's opinion. We assume that it is. Well, let me just check in with you, see if this is all working over here. Bubba is in the bunker right now. I just managed to time it so that he could have a little treat. Hello, good evening. It's Sunday night. Again, we're here. Amazing that we're still here at all. It all started in early 2017, and we're still going, hanging on by a thread, but still here. For anyone who's watching, who's never been here before, this is a little like fragment left over of the original TarotLumination, where we do a lot of tarot readings and lots of astrology for people. I used to focus very heavily on personal astrology on YouTube. Nowadays there's like tens of thousands of astrologers and tarot readers, and so I thought, okay, go for it. And I have a very strong interest in global astrology, so I thought I would just focus this, since that's what I really like to do. And I just keep a track of it, mostly on a daily basis, and keep a note of what's going on in the world. And then I post my opinions on my other platform, Rumble. TarotLumination is over there, and that's in the evenings during the week, and I can speak much more freely over there in a way that I can't speak over here, and so that's why I've kind of fractured, and it's kind of sad, but that's the way it is. I'm adapting. I feel like I'm doing the best I can to adapt and evolve with the ever-changing circumstances. A lot of times it's just hard to keep up. Some of the channels and providers and creators that I love have been, let's say, more more fluid in their adaptations or revolution than I have. Most of you know I had a very bumpy ride on YouTube ever since the end of 2018, and there's never been any recovery or any kind of accountability. And I hold YouTube responsible, and because of their policies. And so far, even with a very recent attempt to, find a middle ground, I got nothing. So, I maintain hope, because you never know. I just kind of keep going anyway, and just for the sake of it. Completely have to censor every principle or belief or comment or narrative that I was putting out on YouTube in order to keep my channel alive, because even though it had been essentially destroyed at the end of 2018, that destruction brought a very big spotlight onto YouTube, and I was under constant surveillance after that event, and things just got worse and worse and worse. And so I realized I can't fight this. I'm not going to fight it. I don't want to compromise or dilute myself to the point where there's no point in having a channel. And so I had to migrate. I had to migrate somewhere that was more safe, and that's what I did. That's what I've done, and that's what I'm doing. And some of the other channels that I love had a very different life experience on YouTube, and they became successful. And then they started to encounter some of the, let's say, resistance that I had to endure, but they made the decisions to moderate their communications in such a way that everything is diluted into like code and language and content that makes, it's like, what's the point in watching? I mean, I still watch some of them, but the dilution is very strong. Also, I've kind of fractured out like this. It's okay. I'm just stating the facts, the reality of the situation right now. But we still have this, our little Sunday Night Live, because I don't really do anything controversial here. I just do live little mini tarot readings for anybody who shows up and puts in the donation box. So if there's anyone there, hold on, let me just check things. Please, if anyone does want to donate, do not do the super chat, because it'll never reach me. Instead, you can go here to TarotLumination.com and you can go direct, okay? Also, if you need personal astrology, personal tarot readings, you can go there too, all right? Connect with me that way. We'll figure it out from there. All right, so I've got 2 bookings already tonight, if anyone's interested. We have Fluffles and we have Water Dragon. Hello, Mr. Ross. Good evening. You've been here since the beginning. Thank you. So what I'd like to do, I know it sounds, you know what, I'm gonna do an upgrade for next week. I've just had this flash of inspiration. I don't know why I never thought about it before, but I'm going to follow up. It'll be a surprise, hopefully next week, and you'll see it. Assuming I have the skills to do this. So, what I like people to do is imagine that we actually have the original TarotLumination magical retreat, and we are on a mythical island very similar to, let's say, New Zealand, and it's a beautiful evening. We're on the North Island, right close to the ocean. There's beautiful trees and mountains and grass and rolling waves and streams, crystal clear water flowing into the ocean, and we've got a plot right there, and it's dusk, and we've got the campfire all set out. We've been building it up and getting ready for the evening. We got a few little deck chairs and stools so we can all hang out. And then I invite you to bring in your invisible friends, just to amplify the vibes of the evening. And we go from there. And then we share our stories, and we do little one-off mini readings, and people get their little hidden messages from the great beyond. Yep. Thank you. Yeah, Bubba has become quite demanding lately. It's not unexpected. It's just that he... Thank you, Jody. It's not unexpected because a while back he was having very high levels of constant anxiety because of another little cat that was living here. And Bubba lost a lot of weight and became very withdrawn. But with a lot of TLC and extra special attention and larger amounts of cat food, half of which has to go to waste because he's become very picky under my watch. But it's worth it because he's starting to regain his weight and to be like the proper size weight ratio for his dimensions. And it's starting to show. So it really helps. Thank you. Thank you, Jody. Yeah, treats are so important. I've tried every little thing you can imagine. I take fresh cooked chicken, beautiful roasted type, and I chop off little tiny bits and pieces. They still have some aroma. And every now and again, not always, but he'll chow that down. He also likes every now and again, little bits of raw ground beef. He loves that. What else is it? He loves gravy, but that's cat food gravy, so it kind of doesn't count. I don't provide human gravy. He likes to lick my potato chips. He likes really salty, greasy potato chips. He doesn't really... Well, he will chew them. If I take some potato chips and scrunch them up into little crumbs, he will eat those because he likes crunchy things. His other favorite thing is these seafood flavored little crunchy nibbles that are crispy on the outside and sort of gooey on the inside. And so he makes very loud noises as he shoves them around and to break them open. And he loves to crunch those. He loves to crunch those. And it works very well. The way I have his little food bin set up. Most of the time, it's free feeding, but I also go for periods where there's no food supply specifically. And then he's more inclined to eat. And then, so I'll put the kibble right next to the meat, very close on the tray, okay? Yeah, and it works. And once Bubba gets in a real row, he will start chowing on the meat and then he'll dive over to the kibble, chow on that, crunch, 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 and then go back to the meat. He'll go back and forth and back and forth, back and forth. And there are times when he'll eat the whole fricking thing. The little baby cans, you can get those, okay? So we had a run with those for a while, but I've gone back to bigger cans from now because I think he has a deep memory from those. And it's a little bit less wasteful because once you find a can that he likes, he will gorge. There have been occasions in the last few weeks where he will eat a whole can in one 24-hour setting, which is a lot for a little critter like Bubba. Doritos and Cheetos, oh my God. Those are super ultra high flavored. They're too flavorful for me. I know why people like them. I used to eat Doritos, but my mouth and my hands would get covered in all this sort of red goop, and I would always have it with beer and stuff like. And then I haven't been drinking for years now, and so the craving for salty chips has really diminished. Hello, Ivona. Yes, yes, Ivona. You know the routine. Let me show you the new website. It's much better. So, Ivona, you might not have seen it yet, but this is a new website. It's TarotLumination.com, and it's much simpler. Okay? So you can do everything from there. All right? And we'll see you at the reading. All right? Oh, yeah. Yeah, little Bubba's really mostly a seafood guy. He'll take the chicken, the turkey, and anything with weird, very stinky flavors. Weird combinations like turkey cheese or indoor cat with, peas and brown rice and whitefish or something weird plus gravy. Kind of doesn't matter so long as it's really stinky and goopy. That's what he really loves. Apparently there's this thing where you're not supposed to feed a certain meat to cats. I don't know what it is, but I'm guessing it's pork. Because when I went to PetSmart today, you can get chicken, beef, turkey, seafood, chicken, beef, turkey, and all sorts of seafood. But there's no bacon flavored or pork chop flavored anything. So I don't know what it is. Maybe there's something in pork. I don't know. So if anybody's got amazing, important, very, very enlightening evolutionary updates, you're welcome to share them in the chat. You know how people get here in the chat. They all start doing inadvertent psychic readings for each other. Can't help themselves because pretty much everyone who shows up here these days is some sort of variation of a psychic, empath, compassion junkie, reader, or something like that, a medium. Yeah, so why not? Alright, so yeah, you'll figure it out, Ivona, and I'll get you your magic post-it note in a moment. Alright. So let me go over to the astrology just for a moment, just for an overview. This is exactly what I would be doing during the week for my daily shows on Rumble. Tonight is kind of special because we have 6 planets right on the cusp, the crisis point, the degrees of desperation, the degrees of birth, like death and birth simultaneously. And it's really quite amazing. Quite amazing to see that. I don't like to look too far forward with my charts. Every now and again I'll whiz through the whole of a year or 2 or 3 years, and I will look for very, very specific astrological moments of sacred geometry that really stand out, and it'll show up in the global headlines. But tonight is kind of special because in the background, like I said, we have Uranus, Neptune, Saturn, and Pluto doing the very, very, very deep evolutionary pressure on our species and the planet and every organism. That's happened, okay? We've been talking about that for many, many months, and it's going to continue for many, many months. It's being enhanced by this fast-moving triangle here, trine, sextile, sextile, which is going to enhance our abilities to evolve, but also increase the pressure. In other words, the message is just becoming very much louder and louder. You need to wake up, people. You have to improve your behavior, your actions, your intentions, and so on. A couple of items would be the Pisces North Node. It's very fashionable to be, let's say, a virtual, someone who's very virtuous and compassionate, but it can also come out in a very, very distorted way where someone's so-called well-intended compassion and caring for humanity is actually a very sick type of some sort of self-destructive behavior that makes no sense. I'm not going to say anything more than that because I'll just start getting in a big black hole of trouble with my language. But the Pisces North Node wants genuine compassion, genuine empathy, genuine honesty, genuine integrity, serenity, tranquility, and peace. And that comes through decision making. This is an extremely hard North Node to manifest because you're dealing with the intangibles of Neptune, the intangibles of Pisces. It's almost like the more you try to define it and compress it and pack it into a marketable commodity called, hey, 5th degree compassion, join my cult today and I will take you to the next level. It's only $1,000 a month right now, 90% off. So get in board now and we'll make this together. Okay, so just watch out for some of that stuff, okay? Really, the Pisces North Node would act in a way that's completely, let's see, what's the word? Almost anonymous, almost imperceptible. And it would happen through your actions. Are you being loving, empathic, caring, compassionate, patient, respectful, authentic, true? All these wholesome, beautiful things. Loving. Loving, it can be the hardest thing to do. Being loving can often mean tremendous self-sacrifice. Imagine, like I just saw a story today, a young couple, a very happy young couple, just getting married, and no sooner than she just discovers, even as a professional nurse, she discovers, oh my God, she's got Hodgkin's lymphoma, a horrific type of cancer, and she was only 22. That's very young for that kind of cancer. Anyway, her husband stayed with her anyway, and it's looking like she's going to be okay. But she had to go through a lot of brutal chemo and radiation, and it really ravaged her body, but it seems like they're a very loving couple, and there's a lot of love and smiles that you can see. So love is as love does. Love is an action. Love in action can sometimes be very, very challenging. There are other types of so-called loving relationship where as soon as things get uncomfortable or awkward or inconvenient or no longer exploitable or loaded with opportunity and benefits, and instead it switches into obligations, responsibilities, commitments, duties. I don't want to deal with all of that. You're gone. Goodbye. I'm dumping you. So anyway, it shows up in our behavior. We've kind of gone through a little bit of opposition with the moon to the North Node, and the sun in Virgo is going to be transiting through Virgo for the next 25 days or so, and in so doing it's going to oppose the Pisces North Node, and what that's going to do is it's going to compel humanity to figure out how are we going to clean up our own toxic, self-delusional, destructive behavior that takes us far, far, far away from the beautiful side and the healthy side of the Pisces North Node. Russian thoughtbot. I remember you. So there's another thing about the Virgo energy happening right now is that it's a tremendous spotlight on the cleanup campaign. Now, I'll talk about this during the week, but not much tonight. But the big cleanup campaign that I'm talking about is what's happening in America today. City by city, state by state. Hint, hint. And it's going to intensify. Right now, we also have this very fierce, fast-moving opposition here because it's Mercury-based. Mercury opposite Pluto. So it's basically a war of words. Okay, Venus opposite Pluto. So it's wars of relationships. What's that Shakespeare play? Or wait a minute. Anyway, I don't remember. But anyway, it's putting relationships under a lot of pressure to find out what is the true nature of the relationship. It might be you and a loved one. It might be you and your animal. It might be your country's leaders versus another country's leaders. What does that relationship actually look like? Is it loving and harmonious? Is everything being brought into balance, or is it falling apart and being ripped to shreds? It's very evident on the world stage. I'm having real problems with my hearing. I'm sorry. My voice is not very good. So, anyway, we're going to keep this in the background in case we need it for the readings. We're going to start off with Fluffles. I don't know if she'll be here. Let's actually, Water Dragon, if you don't mind, let's get started with you. Because sometimes Fluffles can't make it for the 5 o'clock starts. And it's still pretty early, so let's give her a break. I have to put up a post-it note for Ivona. Thank you, Love Triber. That's what we'll do. We'll do Water Dragon, Ivona, and Fluffles. Ivona wanted something about her little cat. So it's a cat reading. All right, let's clear up the stage here so we can actually get to work. I'm going to put this aside, okay? Oh, you don't want that? Oh, okay. How shall I do this? Maybe I'll do Ivona first. How about that? Let's just see how it goes. I've only got 3 readings booked, and that's probably about all I'm going to be able to handle anyway. I don't know why I'm so weak these days, but you got to work within your parameters. Okay, so we'll figure it out. Okay, Jody, we're going to reschedule you. I'm going to put all these away. And we can come back later as needed, if needed. I'll put this over to the side. Oh, you don't want a reading? Oh, all right. Oh, I'm sorry. All right. No problems. No problems. Okay, so we got Ivona and we got Fluffles. All right, Jody. Thank you. Let me just check a couple of things. Uh-oh, Bubba just showed up. He's getting all sniffy. He might want some water, so he'll probably jump up on the stage. We'll see. Oh, I have to do some homework. I'm just doing a little bit of housekeeping deep in the background here. Just give me a second. Got to check something. Where am I? It's weird. Okay. Okay, I'm just sort of bear with me. Oh, there's something very fishy going on here. Oh gosh. Hold on. I got some troubling things going on in the background here. Jeepers, what? What the hell? What the hell is all this? Okay, hold on. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Jeepers, man. Okay, technical stuff that I'm not sure if I can handle at the moment, so I'm just going to give up. Excuse me. Sorry about all that. Okay, I understand. Yeah, he probably heard his name. He just took a quick guzzle. I think he went straight off to his litter, or maybe he's going back to the bunker. I'm not sure. Ivona, you're up. Now, cats seems to be quite a theme this evening. I'm going to put this over here, clear the space a little bit. Let's go over to the deck and get shuffled up. All right. Oh no, you're sick. Lots of. Oh, I'm sorry, folks. Commercials. YouTube has become extremely aggressive with commercials lately on all channels, no matter what, no matter your settings. So you have to be very, very careful. It's an extremely aggressive business model that they use to generate and collect their revenue, and it's all based on Catterday. Oh my God. There's another way to interpret that word, Jody. Cat turd day. Oops. Sorry, I said it. Alright, okay, let's have a look. Okay, Ivona. I know you, I remember seeing a note up there. It's something to do with your little cat. Let me see if I can scroll back through the chat and figure out what's going on here. Where is it? Cat health crisis. Oh, okay. All right. So what messages do we have here tonight for our Ivona about one of her kitty cats and the health crisis that seems to be happening? All right, let's have a look. Cards are well shuffled. I like to be right up to the very last second. Okay. Okay. She got very sick a couple of weeks ago, and you can't figure out what's wrong. Ooh, that's creepy. That's very creepy. Hold on. Let's do a reading. Let's see what we can surmise from here. So what kind of messages do we have for Ivona tonight regarding little Maya and the illness? Maybe we'll get something direct from Maya. Okay, let's have a look. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle things going forward. Let's have a look at external circumstances. This looks to me like with the Six of Wands, it looks like a fear not situation. No matter what, it looks like we're going to figure this out. If it's been going on for 2 weeks and it has not gotten any worse, we can maybe interpret that as a sign of optimism and hope. Okay? All right, so let's just leave that like this. Also, there's a secondary message I'm getting from this, okay, with the Six of Wands. This is specifically for you, Ivona, in taking care of little Maya. It would be that it's very important that you maintain your own optimism in your own aura, because your little cat will sense that, And if your cat senses belief, trust, integrity, and the will to live, and strength, and success from your aura, that will permeate through the aura of little Maya, okay? All right, let's have a look. What's the situation? Oh, this looks very awkward. Wow. Okay. We got the Two of Swords here. But part of it makes me feel is we're going to have to pray for some kind of divine intervention. Some sort of... I don't know if you believe in things like this, Ivona, but to me it feels like it's the healing power of prayer, where you effectively surrender all forms of common sense and three-dimensional approaches to the situation, and on the understanding that this looks very much to do with the Pisces energy right now and the Virgo opposition, where it's very much about cleaning up of sicknesses and diseases. Well, she's got anemia, but we don't know the cause. Oh, Ivona, I can understand. I have anemia, and I know the cause. It's a very frustrating condition. So this feels like, again, a double message here. Number one, it's about the healing power of prayer, okay? Asking for divine intervention, like, please, heaven, guardian angels, invisible friends, all the other cat angels out there, please intervene here. Please send me, Ivona, the messages that I need to understand and hear in terms of deep intuition, perhaps through dreams, perhaps through, like, when you hear, like, clairaudient. I don't know if you're clairaudient, Ivona. Sometimes you can hear messages from your angels and your invisible friends, or clairvoyant, anything like that. Any kind of message that's being transmitted to you from heaven, okay? And yeah, we're dealing with the realm of spirit here, Ivona. I don't know how physical you are with little Maya, but I try to be as hands-on as I can with Bubba, because I believe our hands are holy and they can be used as instruments of healing, okay? So if your little cat is receptive to lots and lots of gentle or very thorough type physiotherapy, which is what I give to Bubba, that can be very healing, and it can invigorate the cat's natural physiology to want to repair and heal itself, rather than having to, load up with medications and weird things, okay? All right, let's have a look. What are the challenges here? Okay, so with the Nine of Pentacles, it makes me feel that you're kind of frustrated, Ivona, because you love to be able to take care of all of these things yourself, because you're already very compassionate by nature, very loving and very loved, and so on. And in theory, in a connection, you've given me so much wisdom regarding cats and everything. And yet, it might be that in this situation, it makes you feel very stumped and frustrated and almost completely drained of a sense of independence and capability and techniques and tools and wisdom to be able to handle the situation. Not like you're tapped out, but almost like you're tapped out, and that you're having to stretch and reach out to others, because normally others would maybe come to you for the health and the healing and the divine inspiration and the magic and the prayers and so on. But in this situation, it looks kind of reversed. So it might be very frustrating that you really don't have a traditional three-dimensional answer to the situation, okay? Doesn't matter how many YouTube videos you watch, how many doctors and vets you see. This feels to me like it might almost be like a spiritual condition, because I don't know the history of Little Maya, but there's this thing called the will to live. It's an incredibly important phenomenon that exists inside of every living organism, a plant, an animal, a human, a cat, whatever. And if the will to live is compromised, that will to live will shrink the ability to live. And that becomes a negative, what do they call that? What's the word? Instead of, what's the positive feedback loop? It becomes a negative feedback loop. So if there's if little Maya has any sort of characteristics or behavior that's showing that she might feel a little bit down or depressed or fragile or something, it doesn't matter how much you care for her or love her, deep inside of her, if there's something in her soul which is struggling, where she does not feel she's worthy of being here, and the will to live is starting to shrink and shrink and shrink, that will impact her immune system, all her vital organs, and her literal ability to live. And it could translate into something as very subtle and effective as anemia, where it's not immediately life-threatening, but it's not fun. It makes little Maya would be feeling weak and listless. It's sad, okay? So yeah, it would. So anyway, let's see. What do we need looking? What does it look like going forward? Okay. It's really simple. Okay, with the Ace of Cups here, we're looking literally for prayer power. I believe what's happening now is we're surrendering to prayer and asking for divine intervention. It might be laying of hands. It might be literally like we do with Reiki. Little Reiki. If anyone's out there who does Reiki, specifically for cats or animals, but specifically for cats, anybody watching, please do not be shy of transmitting genuine, first-class Reiki healing towards little Maya. And let me give a visual demo. Here's what I'm talking about. I've done this many times on my channel over the years because I was a benefactor. I was a beneficiary of this. I had incredibly powerful energy healing from very powerful energy healers. And it's a big reason why I'm still alive today. And it looks like this. This is a visualization of what energy healing would look like. All I'm going to do is say, just instead of human to human, imagine human to cat, okay? So if anyone out there has Reiki abilities, and visually it would look something like this, there would be the Reiki practitioner or the energy healer invoking the healing power of love to enter her body, mind, heart, and soul from above to activate her Reiki energy healing abilities, and then transmit that directly to the recipient, which would in this case be little Maya. This can happen remotely, but it can also be done directly. You don't, obviously a lot of I believe a lot of physiotherapy would help to stimulate all the things like the dopamine and the natural endorphins to flow, and to remove any kind of lactic acid, and to get the blood flow in the circulation to improve. That would be hands-on. That would be hands-on healing. But we also need the healing power of love, direct healing power of love, and basically cat Reiki. All right? So if anybody's out there and they have even the slightest, remotest skills or even the intentions, you don't have to be trained or certified or anything. You can just ask for the healing power of love to work through your body, mind, heart, and soul from up above. Send the energy field through your body and then direct it using your psychic visualization directly to Maya. All right? That's how we deal with this. And stay optimistic. Keep at it. It could take months, okay? It could take months and months. But the will to live in this little story is very, very important. And the really good way to activate the will to live is physiotherapy on the cat. I do a lot of physio with Bubba every day. And it really helps. So yeah, maybe if you've already seen the vet, and the vet has said, yeah, she has anemia, then take heed, and we'll go from there. But if you can possibly avoid, let's say, the traditional three-dimensional approach, and aim for much more energy healing, and deliver that healing with intention and confidence to promote the will to live, and I think it'll start to help in time. All right? Okie dokie. All right, let's leave that at that. I'm going to play another little tune now here. And we're going to shuffle up, and then we're going to read for Fluffles. Is Fluffles here? Is Fluffles here? All right. Okay, looks like you got a lot of support there, Ivona, for little Maya. Actually, I agree with you, Necessary, about dry food. I don't use what I consider regular kibble. I use these little kind of luxurious treat things. It's probably all chemicals. I don't really know, but I think it really helps mostly with the crunching, because Bubba loves to crunch and grind away, and it's very rich and tasty for him. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to catch up with the notes. Chicken soup. Oh. Oh. Oh, I've never heard of that. What a really good idea. Ah. Wow. All right, so let me go over here. Where am I? So I hope this helps, and we'll just follow up in time. Okay, just keep us posted. I know Bubba likes to go out in the sun. He'll go out. He'll find a place where some concrete or something like that. It's baking hot, and he'll do a roly-poly. If it's too hot, he won't go out because it'll burn his paws. But he likes to basically almost like boil himself alive in the sunlight for a few minutes, and then he gets up and walks away. He likes to do roly-polies, back on his side, and then rolling over to this side, and then stretch out, and come back, and all sorts of things, and he loves it. Cat soup. Is there really such a thing? I didn't know about that. Are you talking about just like a can of chicken soup? Chicken noodle soup or chicken vegetable soup, or is there actually chicken soup for cats? Bubba drinks the sensation water. Okay. Interesting. So Fluffles, where are you? Fluffles. Fluffles. Fluffles, where are you? Come on, show up. It's Sunday night. You said you'd be here. Oh dear, oh dear. I don't know what to do. It's kind of fun when you're actually here and someone wants their reading here. I feel a bit awkward because we had to postpone from last week because of her schedules and her timing. So I'm kind of inclined. It's cat soup. What? Really? Okay. Okie dokie. I'll send you the info. It's cat soup. Okay, I'm very curious about that. Anything to enhance the well-being of little Bubba. Would really appreciate it. Part of it's my fault because I've turned him into a kind of a picky little cat. But I figure that, well, if this is the cost of improving health, then that's what we're going to do. Oh, give me a second. I've got an idea that I want to share. Where did it go? Right. Give me a second. I need to come right back here. Give me a second, folks. I'm going to do a little housekeeping. Alright, I'm back. Just let me get organized. I've already shuffled the deck, so that part's good. I'm just wanting to... Oh dear, dear, oh dear. Damn it. Oh dear. I'm all discombobulated. I'm trying to do housekeeping for the channel, for the show right now that I should have done in advance, but I wasn't anticipating the situation we would have at this very moment. So I'm trying to catch up live in real time. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. Okie dokie. Alright, this is just for fun. Okay, just while we're waiting to see if Fluffles is actually here. Fluffles, where are you? Okie dokie. Okay, I don't see a Fluffles anywhere at this moment. If she was, she would type it in the chat. All right, so I just want to give you folks a little heads up, in case you're not aware. I'm doing what I can to basically start from scratch after 7 years of decay on the little YouTube TarotLumination channel. And I've migrated over to Rumble and onto X. I use X sort of as an archive where I assemble content that I want to be able to use as a reference later on in the day or the week ahead. Otherwise I would forget it. I also have my paper notes, and then I put my astrology reports on X for every day during the week. So this is what it looks like. This is X. This is TarotLumination on X. Let's see if it shows up for you. Come on, little camera. Come on, you can do this. Why is it? There it is, look. TarotLumination. I offer astrology and tarot services. Donate here, so on and so on. And there we have my latest postings about a fake future. Very, very good, short, powerful read. I've got something about all the crazy stuff going on right now in the world, but especially America-centric. John Bolton, the godfather of AI, Nigel Farage over there in England, the de minimis process ending, Kilmar Abrego, the ostrich cull in Canada, and the FBI whistleblowers who've been redeemed. Okay, and that was astrology. Over here I have something very important to understand about Bitcoin. Over here, something very important about this momentum that I consider would be awesome, about time to end the Fed. I'm not going to say anything more than that. And massive changes are coming ahead for American taxpayers. Looks like it's for the good, personally. And a very, very disturbing story about artificial intelligence from the creator, the godfather of AI. And another one here, furniture manufacturing is coming back to America. Let's leave it at that for now. Anyway, I just wanted to show that to you. Also, I wanted to show you, now that I'm doing this, come on, Fluffles, where are you? Fluffles, where are you? Wait a minute, how does that work? Something's weird here. Hold on. Let me go back. Where's my channel? Okay, over here. This is Rumble. This is what my channel looks like on Rumble. Those are all the astrology videos that I post. Okay, usually one a day to keep you updated. So, I guess the things that I was going to show you did not show up. So, I've done what I can. Give me a moment here. Alright, so I don't see Fluffles anywhere. She really wanted to be present for her reading, but she's not here. So, thank you, Jody. I'm doing as best as I can. I remember I think it was you who sent me the notes about the Epoch Times and Ground News. Okay, the Epoch Times and Ground News, as far as I'm concerned, provide very high integrity, fact-based content, and it doesn't matter where you lie in terms of your philosophy about the world. It covers everything. Everything from the things that you might believe are very evil and disturbing, and then the other people who might believe that everything that you believe in is very evil and disturbing. And it's a full spectrum awareness on Ground News. I have the free version, which still allows me massive access to massive content worldwide. But from what I was understanding, Jody, if you don't have a Ground News account, you can't see my posts from there. Anyway, if people want to, you can just get your own account for free. The other thing is the Epoch Times. It's a very high value source, and I pay for that. And it's very important to me. And apparently, if I post stories from the Epoch Times, they don't show up, or you can't access the full story. Maybe it says something like, because I'm not you, I don't see what you see. It says something like you have to have a membership or something like that. I can't really tell. But anyway, I just want you to know I've got an X account and I have a Rumble account, and they are both mutually supportive, okay? And that's the whole idea of it. I use them to support each other. I try to keep a very open mind, but if you go to my Rumble and X account, you'll discover very quickly my true nature, for which I do not apologize, and that's okay. But I can't do that here on YouTube, so I don't. There you go. You know what? I'm having... I don't know. I'm looking for ways to blame things right now, but no, they want me to. They want you to subscribe, right? Okay, that's very frustrating. I would have thought maybe just because I posted on X, it would just open up as the article, but I want you to subscribe. Well, I can't imagine anyone's going to subscribe to the Epoch Times just to read a posting that I just put there. It doesn't make any sense. For example, I love Tucker Carlson, but ever since he's gone full-blown Tucker Carlson Network, which has an expensive subscription, I don't really go there anymore. But he does a lot of teaser content on X anyway, and I see that, okay? We're reading on Putin. Oh, you've seen the picture of Bubba? Yeah, huh? Would I do a reading on Putin? Sure. Wow. Yeah. Interesting. I'm looking at the chat over here. Well, I have opinions about Putin already, but he's a character that's really, really hard to pin down, because how he presents himself to the world is very different to his actions, his true actions. So you have to be very, very careful of that. Sure. Especially since Fluffles isn't here. All right. Oh, yes. I think some of you know that I've told it in the past, my sister is a veterinarian. She's super ultra highly qualified, way above your average veterinarian, and she was headhunted many times by big corporations to do very high up, deep corporation stuff in very big drug companies, which run parallel and usually the same names as drug companies for humans. But what she found out is that these big companies are quite nefarious in how they operate, and you start to realize that it's nothing to do with health. It's all about money. Money, 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 money. There's always a search for a new disease and a way to cure it, and how to monetize the disease and the cure. Hold on, what are these? So anyway, my sister got fed up with the whole thing because she had to take care of thousands of animals in her time, had to put down a lot of cats, sadly, and took care of animals. And then when she started to realize that, my God, this is just a racket, it's awful, and the ethics were sort of faded and minimal. She quit. It's very sad. She had so many letters after her name, like PhD, Doctor this, Masters of that, blah, 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 blah. All her credits were bigger than her name. Hold on, what's the next one? Love Driver, we don't do antibiotics. I don't normally do vets, okay? But this time I was really desperate and I brought her in. Okay, fair enough. Not the best experience, but at least we found out it was not her kidneys. That's good. The vet thinks she may be bleeding through her colon. That's, I don't know. IBS. If an animal has IBS, that means a parasite has found a way to get through and eat through the digestive wall. And that can be a very, very big problem. I had very, very, very serious issues with yeast. I had systemic candidiasis. I almost died. It's a very, very deadly condition. It's very hard to diagnose in the early stages. And by the time you're nearly dead, it's such a strange condition to have for a person who doesn't look like they would have that condition, because mostly it appears in people who are on their deathbed, literally in a hospital, like from the last few days of stage 4 cancer or HIV or something like that. And the yeast, the natural yeast in your body take over and they start to eat you alive from the inside out, just as if you were a corpse in the ground being decomposed by nature. It's an absolutely disgusting, horrible disease, and it messes up your bowels. So I had to go on what are called, what were they? Azoles. These are the antifungals. There's ketoconazole, mycoconazole, fluconazole, and a few other azoles. And they're all different variations of antifungal. I wouldn't know how to administer them, or I wouldn't know. I've also used ivermectin, and I've also used fenbendazole for great results on other health issues. Feline leukemia. I don't know much about leukemia. I think it's cancer, blood cancer. I don't know. Maybe it comes through the bones. I'm not really sure. My sister told me that sometimes it's very hard to diagnose cats because they're very, very good at concealing their pain, especially if it's chronic deep pain or chronic mid-range pain. They just tend to sort of shut down or close down and live with it. It's very sad. I don't know how to treat any of that stuff. I don't know what the cure is for feline leukemia. If it's something like cancer, then I don't know what to say. But the veterinarian approach will be a very three-dimensional approach, an academic approach, a corporate approach, and it doesn't matter how compassionate the veterinarian may be or the clinic may be, it's not the same as energy healing, animal Reiki, okay? It's a completely different phenomenon. And that's why I think the subject came up in the mini reading for you, Ivona, okay? Again. Alright, so Fluffles is still not here. What did I say we were gonna pushing rabies. Oh yeah, terrible, terrible. That's what happened to little Tuffy. Tuffy got his rabies shot and 3 weeks later he was dead. It's disgusting. It's murder for money. That's what it is. All right, folks, I think we should just wrap it up for the evening. I'm not sure how I can help. Yeah. Yeah. The reading for Putin. Yeah. I think I said yes. I'm more than happy. It'll just be a little mini reading like any other. The message will be, what kind of messages do we have here tonight for the world, for us to know about Vladimir Putin, whatever that might be. Of course, I have opinions, but I'd like to think that that it won't contaminate the reading. Okay? So if you're up for it, I'll just get rolling, and after that we'll call it a night, okay? Alright, I'm going to put Fluffles aside. She's not here. We'll do that another day. And we will go over here. Wouldn't it be funny if he found this video? Or some of his spies and deep state people found it. I wonder if he has a YouTube access or a Rumble access or an X access. You've seen online that Pluto's not a planet. Well, I don't know how to contest that or not, because there's little Pluto, and it has been on record. It's been orbiting in our solar system for, billions of years. I don't know why they would say it's not a planet. There's a lot of things that orbit the sun that are not planets. We know we have asteroids. Okay, there's the asteroid belt. And I believe that Pluto is a planet because of the mythology. The ancient astrologers already had a very vivid impression that there were other gods, God Uranus and Neptune and Pluto, that were invisible to humanity. And they associated that with astrology. And so they projected and believed that there were 3 other planets out there, but that we just couldn't see them. And they were so big and powerful and so far away that they attributed it to godlike energy. And Pluto being the farthest out, I associate Pluto with the very, very depths of the soul. So deep that it's very hard to understand or detect, okay? So in terms of Pluto astrology, it's very connected to very long-term evolution, choose to live or not live, and so on, and power and money and control, life itself. It's associated with the energy of Scorpio, which is very much about death and the great beyond and the mysteries of the great beyond. And some astrologers felt that the Scorpio-Pluto energy, the 8th house energy, was very, very dark and spooky if you didn't know how to handle it. If you could handle it, then it becomes like a very divine form of energy that is about channeling immense power in ways that are very healing. But of course, what tends to happen is it's very addictive. Power becomes very, very addictive. And so the Pluto god was, I believe from the mythology, was known for extremes of beneficence and extremes abuse of power, like condemnation and hell. I understand exactly what you're saying there in their notes, okay? All right, Vladimir, let's see what's going on here. What kind of messages do we have here for our little campfire club tonight regarding Vladimir Putin? What do we need to hear? Does he have anything for us personally, or is this more like an observation? I'm not really sure. I'm just going to abandon totally to the process that we do here all the time. Same deck, same approach. You got to reveal it to heal it. I agree with your notes there, Necessary. I believe he is, no matter your notes, I do believe he is committing evil on a grand scale, but in his own way, he justifies it. Some people would say he's an absolute murderous, genocidal thug. Absolutely, utterly ruthless. Some people would say more like what you're saying there, Necessary, is that he loves his country and his people, and he wants to restore, make Russia great again. You know? Russia has had a very turbulent history. My brother is a historian. He knows a lot about that stuff. I know very little. So I can't help you too much. All right, what kind of messages? You got to reveal it to heal it. So I'm not saying that this message is all about healing Vladimir Putin or healing in the traditional sense. It's more like healing, bringing comfort and understanding the nature of this person, his situation, and his role in this life, in this world right now. Wow, that's fascinating, Love Triber. That's incredible. All right, so what kind of messages we have here tonight regarding Mr. Putin? We know he's got a lot on his plate. We know he presents himself very well. We know that he gets along very well with Mr. DJT, number 47. All right, let's have a look. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle things going forward. And let's have a look at external influences. And of course, I'm going to bring in the astrology. So let's have a look. Boy, oh boy. With the Three of Swords here, all right. Well, it's a very, obviously the imagery itself is very striking. Tragedy, pain, and suffering. Well, that's pretty obvious. Tens of thousands of Russians have died. Tens of thousands of Ukrainians have died. Ukrainian people who love their own people. Russian people who love their own people. And in the middle, who's the heartbreaker? When you have a triangulation like this, sometimes it's extremely painful. I just want to share something. Hold on. When you see a triangle in love and relationships, remember I do a lot of, well, I don't so much anymore, but with personal readings, when I do personal readings, and if it's about relationships, I have a certain spread that I use. You've probably never seen it here, but it's my crucible spread. And it's built, it's my own custom spread. It's built on the understanding that in a relationship, there's party A, party B, and then a third entity, the relationship itself. And that exists as a third entity with its own identity, separate from A and B. The thing is, I understand things that way and I read things that way, but most people engage in relationships A to B and B to A like this without any regard for the relationship, because they're not coming from the perspective of love. They're coming from the perspective of, what can I get out of you? Oh, well, wait a minute, hold on. I was going to ask you the same thing. What are you trying to get out of me? Oh, okay. All right. So it's exploitation. It's convenience. It's, relationships like, I only want the good stuff. I want all the love, the fun, the romance, the money, the growth, maybe babies, home, and family and all that. But I don't want to deal with, issues or commitments or responsibilities or things that when things go wrong. So anyway, what I'm sensing with this Three of Swords is that everything is operating in a binary manner. A lot of it that associated with Pluto, extreme violence, extreme power, and distortions, and at a binary level, like, you are the enemy, and the other person turns around and says, excuse me, you are the enemy to me. And in the middle of it all, there's the Russians, there's the Ukrainians, there's Vladimir Putin, and he's the heartbreaker. It's a triangulation. I don't know if you've ever lived in life where you are in a relationship and it becomes triangulated. Let's say there's you and the other, and either you fracture and you dissociate and your behavior merges with another outside of the relationship, or vice versa. Person B can't handle the pressure of the crucible in the binary relationship, and so they fracture and default to a third entity. In other words, like, let's say I'm married, and it looks like I have a marriage, but in fact I have a mistress on the side, or something like that. So in other words, there's fraud, deception, fakery, heartbreak, and tragedy if the truth was known. And some people live with triangulated relationships because there's so much at stake. So the person A might be perfectly aware that their partner is a complete treacherous dog asshole screwing around, or vice versa. So when I see the Three of Swords here in the background, to me it feels like it's the understanding that there was a period where this Three of Swords did not exist for whatever reason. In other words, Ukraine was just being Ukraine, Russia was just being Russia. Then Vladimir comes in, decides he wants what he wants, for what he believes is good for the people, his people. They the people, we the people. You have to remember, in Russia, it is government of the people, by the tyrant, for the tyrant. Now the tyrant, Vladimir, might have very, very good intentions for the people, but it's still tyrannical behavior in a tyrannical environment. So it can lead to heartbreak. If you do a little more deep diving in Russia, yes, there's the glossy, sparkling Moscow, but just on the outside there's a lot of extreme poverty and slums. Same thing with St. Petersburg. And then you go further east into Russia, it's just poverty everywhere, until you get to the oil cities where they have a lot of money, in central Russia. So it makes me feel as though with the Three of Swords, Vladimir is the heartbreaker. He has effectively brought tremendous pain, suffering, and death to I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of people. And of course it has a ripple effect. If you're a parent and your son goes off to war, your son is killed, then you feel the pain as well, as the person who just died is also dead and gone. But there's the multiplier. Your friends, your family, your loved ones, your brothers and sisters, your moms and dads, your grandparents, they are all aching in the heart. There's a lot of pain and ache and suffering in Ukraine and Russia simply because Mr. Putin decided he wanted what he wanted. That's how I'm interpreting the little Three of Swords for now. Let's see what happens further in, okay? Oh. Fluffles, where were you? Oh, gosh. What do you mean she has you blocked? There's no one blocked. I'm not blocking you, Jody. I can see your chat. I can see your chat perfectly well, Jody, so don't worry. Just have fun, hang in. Alright, let's have a look. There's a lot of exponential pain and suffering and heartache because everything has been triangulated. Party A blames everything on Party B. Party B blames everything on Party A. And let's have a look. The situation itself. Okay, right now, I feel that Putin is desperate. I feel like he is absolutely desperate. And he's trying to navigate in a very, very fragile environment, knowing that there's a lot of death and destruction way beyond what he was expecting in the first place. And one of the reasons he's feeling the Two of Pentacles like this is because it's hurting the Russian economy. Okay? And there's no one else to blame except Putin himself. So there's multiple levels of pain and suffering inside Russia itself as Vladimir tries to juggle the finances of running a war, which is extremely expensive, and it's depleting his economy and his treasury, and it's alienating the rest of the world financially, especially America, with the tools to financially cripple Russia right now. So how is Vladimir going to get what he wants without being financially completely crippled and destroyed? So I think what I'm sensing from this is that the material, physical, three-dimensional reality for Vladimir is that things are very, very, very delicate, very fragile, like everything could fall apart at any moment. And the pain and suffering could multiply. In other words, let's say some sort of peace deal occurs, okay? And history being what it is, there's a peace deal brokered, and because of the behavior of this person in the past and the other person, the other Vladimir, the peace deal is very fragile, okay? This looks extremely fragile. And there's so much pain and suffering on both sides that the harmony that may be achieved will be very, let's say, fragile or short-lived. I'm pointing to this thing here. In the next few weeks, well, in a few days, the moon is going to be right here, so we're going to get a massive, big, fat red opposition. Towards the end of the Virgo cycle, the sun's going to be right here. All of those transits are going to be very much about war and peace. Virgo wants to do the cleanup and wrap it all up and clean it up and start to rebuild. But this is a very difficult energy here to handle with the Saturn and Neptune retrograde. Like the more and more you try to provide stability and common sense and accountability in the environment of extreme evil, nefarious deception, betrayal, lies, it's very, very hard to do. It might appear to be full of integrity and good intentions when it's not, which just leads to more pain and heartache for everybody. All right, let's have a look. What's the challenge here? Well, it's already a very big challenge. Okay, my feeling here for Vladimir Putin, the challenge is that he very, very much wants to start from scratch. He wants to build a new Russia. Powerful, rich, capable, like a new history, a new future for Russia. Very much about material stability and security for himself and his country. Make Russia great again. That's what he wants. But right now, the physical material reality looks very, very far away. Even though I watched Marco Rubio stating that tremendous progress is being made behind the scenes, not on mainstream media or news, just behind the scenes with the diplomats and the politicians between America and Vladimir Putin, a lot of progress is being made towards a peace deal. That's what I have surmised. However, I'm looking at the astrology, and I have to factor in that things are extremely unstable and very fragile. So, with the Ace of Pentacles here, my feeling is that Vladimir is acutely aware of what could happen with a peace deal. He could get everything he wants. He could get that chunk of land, peace and harmony restored, the dignity and the pride of Russia regained, and business taking off in a way that's never happened before. At the same time, the possibilities are extremely fragile. In other words, Vladimir himself, despite all his best intentions, could easily condemn Russia to decades more of pain and suffering and degradation. Okay. Now, how are we going to proceed from here? To me, it looks like what we're doing is looking inside the soul of Vladimir and the energy that's radiating across the world as a result of his behavior and decisions and actions. We can understand why he's behaving the way he does, but it's still, for some people, very hard to justify, especially with the amount of death. How are we going to proceed here? Okay. All right, so we got the Page of Wands. My feeling here for Vladimir to continue, he's actually going through something he's never had to do before. He's on the world stage in a way that he's never enjoyed before. He's got a much, much bigger global presence than ever before. Like, he is one of the biggest names in the world stage. You know, there's Donald, there's Vladimir Zelensky, there's the King of England, there's the Ayatollah Iran, there's Xi Jinping, there's Mark Carney for Canada, Keir Starmer, all these big headline names in the mainstream media. And he's already used to that. He's been in the limelight for decades. But this is on a whole new level. And what's happening, it's exposing him to the world stage on a whole new level, which he probably didn't anticipate. In other words, he's at the very, very tippy edge of his ability to get what he wants and be who he wants to be, which is an amazing hero in terms of Russian history. So when he dies, he wants to be remembered as this champion, heroic character who reclaimed and rebuilt Russia to its full glory. But he's realizing it's not going exactly as planned. In fact, things are extremely fragile, and that he's actually getting close to bankrupting the whole country. Okay? And so, going forward, there's this very humbling type of energy where he's never going to admit it. I don't think even to his closest party members, no family or anybody. Deep inside, he's wondering, like, oh my God, like, it's like there's a high degree of innocence, naivety, stupidity, not stupidity, but lack of awareness about the consequences of his decisions and behavior, and that he's learning in his, like at the very personal level for Vladimir Putin, like he really thought he could go into Ukraine, take it over in a matter of weeks and problem solved, get all the money, get all the glory, none of this, and he could go down in history as the savior. And it's backfired extremely badly, which has got him to the point where he's looking at his world, his Russia, and the other people on the world stage who are watching him and realizing, oh my God, I'm in very, very deep water, and I'm just barely keeping my dignity, my strength, my power, my abilities, which leaves me feeling extremely, let's say, immature. And then having to admit that and accept that inside himself, and then what the hell am I going to do now? Now that I've realized I was not as smart, as powerful as I thought I was, and I'm actually living this lifetime to learn that. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I thought I knew it all, but now I'm realizing I'm immature and I'm on a very serious learning curve. Now, what that learning curve is going to lead to, I can't see from here, okay? I think he's going to, like you said on the notes, he's got good intentions in his perspective, but things are not, or have not turned out the way he thought. Let's say positive, like your notes there, okay, necessary. Where he realizes that he's responsible for astronomical amounts of death and destruction, economic devastation. Is he going to be able to admit that to himself and actually come to a peace deal and be humbled and admit that, well, I didn't know everything like the way I thought it was, and then go forward and they actually reach a peace deal, and that happens to turn into something which works out. In other words, it's like, okay, we're going to craft a peace deal. So in other words, the war is going to stop, and we're talking about the rebuilding of Russia, the rebuilding of Ukraine, especially in terms of their people and their souls, and all the pain and suffering. But that's a whole other story, a whole other journey, because we're not there yet. We're still looking into the future and realizing how little we know, because we're here right now, but I feel the peace deal is going to appear more like in about a month from now. A lot of back and forth stuff, reality checks with America in between as the broker. So let's stay optimistic. Let's just say Putin knows he's in very deep trouble. He's got to find a way out where he can save face, maintain dignity, power, and control, and still be regarded as a Russian hero and rebuild it again. This is I wouldn't want to be Vladimir right now. This is very hard, okay? What? Hold on, Fluffles. Fluffles, where have you been? It's almost 7 o'clock. TL, in case you didn't see my questions, I've been talking to a first-generation Italian man in New York who is a retired police officer, okay, wondering what this relationship would look like if I gave it a chance. Oh, well, he's in New York. You're 3,000 miles away for a start, okay? All right, anyway, Vladimir, that's... Okay, necessary, that's your reading about Vladimir. I hope it had some value to you. and to the other people watching. Thank you very much. Fluffles, you're here now, so we're just going to do it, okay? Brace yourself, dive in, because we're going to dive in quickly. Okie dokie. Give me a second, folks. I'm just trying to get reorganized here. All right, let me go over here for a moment. Thank you, Necessary. I really appreciate that. That was kind of fun and interesting. Very unexpected. You have to understand, in the background with the Ukraine-Russia war, there's some very, very, very powerful forces. Basically, the banks, the banksters, the warmongers, the European Union, the military-industrial complex of Europe, the military-industrial complex of America, who are very, very, maybe they're not saying openly, but they would love the war to continue. Because war is big, big money, big, big business, and it's already taking Europe into enormous amounts of money printing and debt. So the banks are salivating. The banks are probably going to do anything they can to sabotage a peace deal. Secondly, Iran wants the war to continue, North Korea wants the war to continue, and China wants the war to continue, because so long as that Ukraine-Russia war continues, it dilutes the ability for the United States to focus on the really big enemy, which is China. I'm not going to talk much more about this, otherwise I'm going to get in trouble. And we're here to do the mini tarot readings. So there's a tremendous pressure to have no peace deal and to completely sabotage a peace deal any way possible. The other peace deals that have been set up by Donald Trump over the last few months are not of the scale of what would be required for a Russia-Ukraine peace deal. So they went through, and they're still hovering around, and that's great. But the financial implications were not extreme, like with Russia and Ukraine. The Russia-Ukraine war is big, big business, okay? So I think the people of Russia and the people of Ukraine would love for the war to end now. But that's not good for business, and that's not good for glory and reputation and power for Vladimir Putin or Vladimir Zelensky. It's long stuff. We could talk about that on my other show, okay? So for tonight, let's go over to Fluffles. Let's have a look here. Fluffles, you finally made it. So we're going to do your reading, okay? So it sounds to me like you've been doing some online connections with this retired police officer in New York. He's got the hots for you, wants you to move over there. So that's great. It's amazing what you can do online. You can have private. You can get your own Zoom account. I have a Zoom Pro because I have to have Zoom Pro. But you can get a little free one that will do good things. You could also use WhatsApp, and you could do face-to-face meetups and so on, live real time, which is a good way to get to know people. However, my feeling is that even before we do a reading, before anybody jumps into bed and gets married and moves to a whole new city, it helps to meet each other face to face. And that's a 3,000 mile gap. Okay, so if I understand, Fluffles, you're somewhere up here near Northern California, and this gentleman is somewhere way over here. That's 3,000 miles. It's a 5-hour flight. So maybe just do like a, one of those quick, a few days in, a few days out. Just meet face to face and go back and forth. People do that. Meet up, meet face to face. You can get very, very good, very high levels of verification and conviction and reality checks that way. Long Island. Wow, I have a brother in Long Island. Yippee-i-yo. Right, let's keep shuffling a little bit here. I did a little bit earlier, but we need more, okay? All right, Fluffles. So this is fun, lively, interesting, romantic. Wouldn't it be nice, hey, Fluffles? Wouldn't that be amazing? Look, you're also getting secondary readings in the background. Looks like Love Triber is doing one of her cartomancy readings live. Okie dokie. I'm getting these very, very weird sensations here, Fluffles. Dear Fluffles, okay. Dear Fluffles, I know you've been waiting a week for this little mini reading. It's probably good that we waited a week. When people get into lovey-dovey romantic situations, sometimes they have these little awkward moments where they can't control their emotional current and they blush. It's just like being a little kid, like when a little kid has a crush on another little kid and they look at each other and bing, I really like you, and the other person goes, really? And they can't help themselves. And what I'm sensing right now, Fluffles, I don't know why I'm sensing it, but I'm sensing a lot of this sort of like little girl in love type of energy. Like it's almost like, oh my God, like wouldn't that be nice? I wonder if he really likes me. I think I like him. It just feels I feel a lot of sweetness and innocence here, and I haven't done the reading yet, so just factor that in, all right? Let's have a look here. Libras and Scorpio only right. Okay, so you're doing a lot of Dear Fluffles, you might have to watch this video over and over again because you're getting a lot of backup reading here and support. Necessary sensing something sounds sketchy, Fluffs. He's never met you and wants you to move in. Whoa, that's heavy duty. A month is very long. Try I can't see. Oh boy. Yeah, there's something going on with butterflies, blushing, that kind of energy. So, I mean, it happens. People still fall in love when they're adults and very late seniors. Some people even get married when they're late seniors. One of the things you're going to have to find out, Fluffles, if there's a third party anywhere. Because if there's a third party, that needs to be revealed ASAP. Okay? Because that's an instant disqualification. Okay? Now, there's nothing wrong with being like formally divorced and everything is managed properly, and every now and again he has to do a monthly checkup with maybe finances or kids that they own together or something like that. But if there's some other girl involved, you need to find out very, very, very quickly, because triangulations are a guaranteed recipe for pain, suffering, perhaps even disaster and non-function. Okay? Bubba! Hey! Hey, Bubba! I still got some ice water. It's pretty chilly. Alright. Hold on, everybody. We have to completely shut down the show right now, because I got to take care of little Fluffles. I have to take care of little Bubba. Given that I didn't expect this one. Come on, Bubba. That's alright, I'm right there. Here we go. Hang in, people. I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble. Oh, how am I going to deal with this? Bubba. Yeah. Give me a second. Alright, give me a second. I got to do some discretion here. Come here, Bubba. Good boy. Alright, I think we're good. I think we're okay. Bubba took the bait. He's guzzling some fresh gravy. Alright, here we go. Alright, let's have a look, folks. Here we go, Fluffles. We're going to dive in. What kind of messages do we have for Fluffles tonight regarding the new guy? It's amazing what romance does to the body. The physiology of romance. That sounds like a really good big book title, doesn't it? The physiology of love. The physiology of romance. Good old necessary. Dishing it out, all the stuff we have to hear. Okay, here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle things. All right, let's have a look at external influences. I don't know what's going on. Remember, the astrology is very, very extreme at the moment, Fluffles, and it's affecting us at the very, very pit of our souls, okay? It's often in ways that we can't comprehend in our 3D consciousness. I like to break up the planets into personal and impersonal. In other words, Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. Okay, that's all the personal stuff, your day-to-day life, your consciousness, your 3D world. You get into Jupiter and Saturn, you're starting to get into the transpersonal, where well, I guess no. Well, yeah, let's just call it because that's those are the crossover planets where you're aware of things like fate and karma and good luck and unexplainable good fortune and unexplainable disaster. And then you go into Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. A lot of times it's totally incomprehensible. It's happening that you just have to write it off as existence. All right. So right now, let's just see what happens. Let's have a look. We're looking at the Wheel of Fortune. Oh boy. Okay, Fluffs. So with this Wheel of Fortune here, it's right on the opening sequence of a new moon cycle. Okay? We just had a new moon here. Today is Sunday. The new moon actually happened on Friday night when the moon was right here. We went all through Saturday and now we're mostly through Sunday. Okay? So the moon moves very, very quickly. And a week ago, the moon would have been way over here. Okay? Last Sunday, which would have been the 17th. And the moon was in, what's that, Gemini? Over here. So a lot has changed. We got the Virgo new moon coming up. And my feeling is that why don't we just ride the wave of that ascending new moon energy and see where it takes us over the next couple of weeks and keep a track on it for yourself. In other words, in a very simple, pure, joyful way, okay? What I'm sensing with the astrology and the event, the circumstances is absolutely ride the wave. Go for it as sort of like a fated event where you literally give yourself over to fortune, to fate, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and allow yourself to live in this wonderland where not everything is controlled by your clock, your work schedule, your grocery shopping, any pets, or very, very localized three-dimensional life phenomenon. Instead, this looks like freaking go for it. Have awful. What's that expression? Hold on, I gotta think about this. I learned this from my sister. It's very, very important. I'm gonna say it when I think of it. It's right here. It's on the tip of my tongue. You've got a very, very big heart, Fluffles. All right? You're naturally very luminous, kind, generous, and you want the best for you and for everybody. Sadly, it doesn't always work out that way, so you can feel disappointment. It's very easy to feel disappointment, especially when you have the ability to bring so much light and offer so much. So what I'm sensing with this Wheel of Fortune is just grab the situation, assume the best, go in with a big open heart, have as much fun as possible, live absolutely in the moment, and don't ever forget that if you don't have any expectations, then you won't have any disappointments. So if you go into this loaded up with expectations, or if he is already loaded up with expectations, you're guaranteed that there's going to be some kind of major letdown, disappointment. So if you can find a way to disengage that very, very natural tendency to have astronomical expectations, especially when it's new love, then you'll have a much better chance of finding out what's really going on, and if there is something really genuine and good and fun and beautiful. And you could call it fated, like the Wheel of Fortune would be very much a fated type of energy. So let's have a look. Let's see over here. Excuse me. Navigating man. All right, let's have a look. What's the situation itself? We've seen all sorts of chat going on. Woo! My God. We got some big hearts here, Fluffles. To me, it feels like there's a lot of fate going on here. When I see at least 2 cards like this, Major Arcana, it makes me feel that this isn't your average situation. This is almost like very much a fated event. I'm not saying it's good or bad. It's just a fated event, for better or worse. In other words, it's a fated event for him. It's a fated event for you. It's like it was perhaps preordained in your life path before you incarnated in your in this lifetime. And the energy would be about, you know, what can happen in certain types of love and relationship. It brings liberation. It's just like, wow, like it's real. Love exists. It really does exist. There's someone who absolutely likes me despite all my flaws. And I love them despite all their flaws. In fact, we love each other unconditionally. In other words, okay, I accept that you're a big fat whale, or I accept that you are financially less than desirable, or that you have some politically, let's say, awkward themes that it's not the greatest fun for pillow talk. But there's something, it looks like there's something very fated going on here, which could create a lot of what looks to me like liberty, like, whoo! How am I going to say it? It looks like something like this. So when I see the Judgment card, it would be, it's like you liberating yourself, allowing yourself to dive into an adventure. No expectations. Don't set any expectations, because you're guaranteed to be disappointed. It means you're going to have to live sort of like the Fool card, very much in real time, nothing before, nothing after. Everything is exactly as it is. And why is that so? How is it? Everything is exactly as it is. Everything is exactly how it should be. And why is that so? It's because that's how it is. So if you enter a situation, a room, and you meet face to face in person, and something in here says, kerblam, my God, he's actually a nice guy. And he really does. He has a crush on me. He's like a little schoolboy. Oh my God, this is wonderful. He loves me even though I've got this and this and this and this and this problems. Okay, that's great. Does that mean you jump in the sack immediately? No, you just say, wow, that's cool. Wow, that feels awesome. It's just like freedom and liberty. Liberation, okay? And it will be something that you had earned and that you deserve. And you're riding the wave to get there. But it's mutual, okay? What I'm sensing, it's mutual. Like, you could be, it's like resonance. I was talking about this last night in my show. This energy of resonance where, let's say you're resonating at a certain frequency, okay, Fluffles? Like when you take a wine glass and you put about 1/3 of a bit of water, you take your finger, dry it off, it's very high quality crystal, and you run your finger across the glass like this and go, that's resonance. And let's say you meet up with the guy and he's feeling like resonance, because inside of him he's resonating energy as well. And if it's mutually beneficial, mutually respectful, mutually loving, then the resonance would go, whoa, whoa. It would amplify itself, and it would appear like a third entity. Like, wow, we have a relationship. So I'm getting a little over the top here with the reading, Fluffles, but with these cards, it's kind of what I'm sensing. In my Crucible spread, it's all about person A and person B, and then item number 3, the relationship itself, which has its own identity. And that's what needs to be understood. In other words, what is the nature of the relationship? That's a massive deep dive reading, and I can do those, but for now, what I'm sensing with the reading is that you're both aware. It's kind of like there's almost like school kid crush. He's got this, there's a lot of that blushing energy I was talking about, and a lot of innocence, a lot of purity. Of course, both parties are flawed. You've got your flaws, he's got his flaws, but in a state of love and romance, you kind of put that aside and you look for the optimism and see what works here. And if you are detecting through resonance, through mutual resonance, that you have a third entity that is beneficent and it has its own resonance, which is a pulsing, living thing, and it's good, and you can recognize that. Like, imagine you're sitting across, and you're at a diner, you're hanging out, you're getting breakfast, and then you're looking at each other like, God, I feel like we're old friends. I can't help it. I already love you. You already love me. That's not the issue. It's just like, what do we do now? What the bleep do we do now? Oh, that's really weird. Like, yeah, I was feeling the kind of same thing. So what would that look like in a relationship? What on earth would our relationship look like? And if you're getting vibes like that, where you're already talking about the nature of the relationship, then you might have something of value. Okay? Let's keep going. Look, here we go, folks. Necessary's on fire. Love Triber's on fire. Woo! This is freakish. Okay, let's have what are the challenges here? Let's have a look. Oh God! With the Ace of Swords, my feeling is that there's a little part of you which has a sense of doubt. A little part of him which has a sense of doubt, like, holy shit, is this real? Could this possibly be real? The truth, the reality? What is the reality? What is the true nature of this relationship? Is it about lust? Is it about mutual exploitation and convenience, masquerading as innocent romance? What is the true nature going on here? It's a little bit scary, Fluffles, because in this lifetime, you've only known each other for what, 4 or 5 weeks, like you said? So it's a little bit scary, okay? So if you're a little bit, feeling a little bit, I don't know, shaky about the reality, the truth of the situation, then that's perfectly understandable, because you should be. All right, let's have a look. How do we go forward from here? Jeepers! Oh my God. Okay, we got the Justice card here, Fluffles. This is very much about harmony and balance and bringing things into harmony and balance. In other words, it might be a situation you're getting exactly what you deserve, and he's getting exactly what you deserve, and it actually brings harmony and balance to each other in such a way that would not be able to exist. Okay, so like it or not, a lot of relationships have repeating themes. Okay, if you've had a lot of relationships in life, some people only have 1 or maybe 2 major relationships. Some people have multiple. But anyway, what I'm sensing with the Justice card here, Fluffles, is that this looks like a very fated situation. And it was just a matter of time until it appeared in your life, and now we're here. And it starts to look like what we've already described. And the way to proceed is to dive in with complete courage and joy. Understand that the truth needs to be discerned. You really need to know the true nature. It has to be brought into a three-dimensional awareness in terms of your waking three-dimensional consciousness. You're going to have to find out the true nature of the relationship. What is the context, the nature, the meaning, the purpose? How did this happen? Where did it come from? Where does it go? What's it going to look like in 3D? Move to New York or move to California or what? You've got to find out kind of the facts. Are you bankrupt? Do you have massive child support and alimony? Are you free and clear of debt? Do you have a massive trust fund? Are you advancing in life? Are you looking at retirement? What is it? What's going on? You need to find out the facts. Sometimes that can be very awkward, uncomfortable, but it has to be discovered and known. And then it'll give you a much better chance to proceed knowing where you are. Like, oh, okay, we brought it all on the table and we're getting what we deserve. In other words, it might be one of those situations where you have both earned, through past life or present life energy, a relationship that actually has certain things like integrity, romance, all the really valuable things in a relationship like respect, patience, integrity, romance, compassion, affection. Those things are really, really, really important. Of course, it's handy to have money and a nice place and all that kind of stuff and financial security. But without those other first ones, forget it. Okay. Love interrogations. But it doesn't have to be uncomfortable, okay? You can make it fun. You know, like one of those like comedy shows or something. I mean, you can make it really kind of almost ridiculous fun. Okay, it's just like, hello, it's nice to meet you, sir. I'm glad you invited me. I'm glad I took the trip out here and you wanted to pay for it. That's great. So we're going to do this the fun, silly, stupid way. I've got all my list of stuff. I have questions that I want answered, and I want you to write your list. And when you're ready, we're going to swap lists. Do you have the guts to do anything as outrageous as that on our first meetup in person? Do you? Are you the man you present yourself to be? And you could go like, well, hold on a minute. Are you who you really presented yourself to be? And you could turn it into a comedy. It could be fun. It's just like, dear sir, question number 3. How do you feel about joint finances and bank accounts? Because there's no way you're getting all my money just like that, just because we're married. Oh, I said the married word. Oh dear. And so on and so on. It just turns into a comedy show, all right? So that's what I'm sensing. You do it across the table, like a kitchen table meeting, almost like in a very formal way. The way to go forward is like, okay, this is it. I am Fluffles. I don't have time to waste. I came all the way out here. Thanks for the ticket and everything. But I'm a business person, okay? I don't want to waste your time. I don't want you to waste your time with me. Let's go through all the yucky stuff now. Get it out of the way. And then let's go have fun, okay? Show me some of the sights of New York. Take me somewhere that I wouldn't even know existed. Let's do something crazy. Let's go on the ferry boat all around Manhattan. How about that? Something fun and crazy. Anyway, by going through it in the way that what I'm sensing here, basically you get what you deserve. Exactly. Look at that. Look at that. Necessary. That's absolutely perfect. Uh-huh. Do you have a J-O-B? Oh my God. Okay, Fluffles. Fluffles, you asked for it. You got a reading. This is a humongous reading, supercharged with a lot of extra add-ons. So I hope you get something out of it. I'm going to wrap up tonight now. I think we've done more than our fair share. Okay, so I hope I haven't stepped on any toes here. Let's just leave it at that, okay? I'm going to shuffle out of here very, very quickly. And I'm glad we had our fun readings. Gosh, I've kind of completely lost track. Thank you, Jody. Thank you, Ivona. Thank you, Necessary. Thank you, Love Triber. Thank you, Fluffles. Who else is here? Anybody else here I missed? I'm sure there's always somebody I missed. Anyway. Let's have a look. Oh, I'm glad you got that. Thank you, Fluffles. Good night, everybody. We just started the Virgo new moon. So that's kind of like, well, what are we going to do over the next week or two? It's about cleaning up, organizing, getting our lives as together as possible, doing all the yucky things we don't want to do, maybe cleaning out a lint filter or checking the car tires, things like that. Catching up on your monthly finances, just all the chores, clean out the refrigerator and restack it, whatever it might be, in order to face off against all the chaos and insanity that's out there, so that you have the best foundation possible, okay? All right, take care, everybody. Have a great week. See you next Sunday. We look forward to the next installments. Toodaloo. It was a pleasure reading for you all. Take care.